Okay, so the month of Iyar just started. The month of Iyar is about healing. The word Iyar in Hebrew stands for Ani Hashem Rafecha. I am Hashem who heals you. What's the difference between the healing that comes from Hashem Himself versus the healing that comes dressed in the garments of nature? So it says in the Torah, Kol ha'machala shasamti alecha mitzrayim le'osim alecha k'ani Hashem Rafecha. All the diseases, front row seats, same price as back row seats. All the diseases that you've had in Egypt, Hashem says, I will not give you those diseases because I am Hashem, your doctor. I am Hashem, your healer. So the unique quality of Hashem's healing is that a person isn't sick in the first place. It's not that you're sick and then you're healed, but the way Hashem heals a person is in a way that Hashem prevents you from getting sick in the first place. But also, even when a person's chas v'shalom already sick, Hashem sends a refuah, Hashem sends a healing in a way that it's as if there's no trace whatsoever, that there is no trace whatsoever of the disease. The person is completely healed as if nothing ever happened. Today's shir is actually dedicated to someone for a bracha, v'atzlacha, chaya, Sarah, bas Sarah, for refuah and bracha and atzlacha, l'chaim. So, something that a lot of people ask often is not about a physical ailment. It's more about a spiritual ailment, an emotional ailment. When someone stepped on my toes, someone insulted me, someone made me feel bad, how do I move on after someone really hurt my feelings badly? How do I go away from that feeling after someone really put me down, someone betrayed me, someone humiliated me? And the question is, how do you let go of those feelings? And it's something which we read about in this week's Torah portion. It says in this week's Torah portion, do not take vengeance, do not bear a grudge, don't hate your brother in your heart. All beautiful words, and many, many speeches have been said about these words. But how do you actually do this? And so, before we get to how, let's discuss what happens when you don't. There was this little boy goes into Yankel's store and he steals a banana. So Yankel's like, poor kid, hungry kid, zu gesund, let him have the banana. The next day the same kid comes with a bag and he stuffs in the bag 10 things of cookies and 4 dozen bananas, and he comes, to this big garbage bag full of stuff by the cash register. Says, I'll see you later. And he says, no, you will not see me later. You put that bag down. He's like, no, I will put that bag down. And he starts running. And the guy runs out of the store and takes him 20 minutes to catch the child. When he catches the child refuses to give it to him. So he has to hold the child down. He has to grab the bag, take the stuff out of the bag, and the other stuff in the bag. It's a whole mess. He gets back to the store 25 minutes later, successful with the cookies and the bananas. When he comes back to the store, he sees that the cash register has been emptied and the very expensive merchandise has been stolen. And he realized that this little child, he was getting paid by the thieves to lure him out of the store so they could go and get the store. In a similar way, when somebody steps on your toes in the wrong way, and you take vengeance on them, you get back at them, you think you're getting back at them, but really you're derailing your whole life and you're going away from your store. A feeling of a feeling of vengeance, bearing a grudge, is basically you're giving up your mind, you're giving up your heart, you're putting someone else to take control of you, and all rent free. Someone else is now living in your heart and mind, and they're not even paying rent. That's what it means to take vengeance. But let's look at what Rashi says about vengeance and bearing a grudge. Rashi gives an example. The example Rashi gives is this: I ask you to borrow your telephone, and you say no. Okay. The next day you come over to me and you want to borrow my Maserati. All right?
Lamborghini or Maserati?
Well, it's a machloket. Aston Martin. So you say, listen, I'm not like you, and I'm going to let you have my Aston Martin, even though you didn't let me have your telephone, right? I won't be like you. That's called bearing a grudge. It's asur, it's forbidden. You're not allowed to do that. Or if I borrow first your Aston Martin, you let me Aston Martin, I'm sorry, you don't let me Aston Martin, and because you don't let me Aston Martin, therefore I don't lend you back my telephone, so that's considered revenge. So the Torah says you're not allowed to take revenge, you're not allowed to get back at the guy, you're also not allowed to bear a grudge. You're not allowed to say, oh, I'm doing this for you, I'm lending you my car, even though you wouldn't even give me your phone. So the question is this. When you first ask me for my phone, right? You ask me to borrow my phone. Do I have the right to say yes or no? Do I have the right according to the Torah to say yes or no? Do I have to give you my phone? No. I'm allowed to keep my phone for myself. I don't have to lend you the phone. But when I ask you in return, and I ask you now to borrow your car, and you say, I'm not going to lend you my car because you lend me your phone, right? All of a sudden that becomes a sin. Why is that a sin? Because I asked you second, because you were second. Now it's a sin because I asked you second. If you asked me first for the phone, I say no, and then I ask you for the car, the sin is now on you because you lent me the car. Could be you don't want to lend me the car because of many reasons, but if you're not lending me the car because you want to get back at me, it's a sin. But even bigger question is they're bearing a grudge. You give me the car, even though I wouldn't lend you myself, I wouldn't lend you a pot, I wouldn't lend you a pan, I wouldn't lend you a hammer. Despite that, when you lend me the car, you give me the brand new Maserati, but you just put in, like, I want to teach you something. I lended you the car, but, it wasn't nice. I didn't lend me, I'm not like you. That, the Torah says, is a sin. But how does that make sense? How does it make sense? The answer is this. You don't have to give anybody something that belongs to you. It's a kind thing to do. It's a mitzvah to give someone something. It's a mitzvah to love your fellow like yourself and to give them, but you don't have to. There are some people it's very hard for them to give. It's like Shmerel. Shmerel calls over his son. He says, Shmerel, I want you to go to our neighbors and borrow a hammer. Shmerel goes to the neighbors. Can we borrow a hammer? I'm sorry, we don't have a hammer. Okay. So he goes back to his dad. Shmerel, Tati, they don't have a hammer. Oh no, we'll have to use ours. Some people, it's hard for them to do kindness. It's not what they're used to. It's not their nature. Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, Baruch Hashem, are blessed with a lot of kindness. But some people it's harder. So the Torah says you may have a lot of reasons why not to give. May have a lot of reasons, justified reasons. It could be you don't want the guy. It's going to affect your insurance. It could be it's a liability. It could be you don't trust the guy's driving. It could be and you don't have to. You don't have to. However, the Torah says that if you're not giving it to him because he didn't give to you, or you're giving to him, but you also care about the fact that he didn't give you. If you're holding that inside of you, that's poison. That's poison. The Torah says that's a poison that you cannot have. Why can't you have it? Because if you hold inside of yourself what people have done to you wrong, your quality of life is lower, not just personally, but affects, you're more irritable, your reaction to your spouse, your reaction to your children, your reaction to your community is compromised, you're irritable, you're not living a happy life. The Torah says Hashem doesn't allow a person to have poison in their system. If you're living with the feeling of getting back, living with a feeling of bearing a grudge, you are living with poison. The Torah does not allow you to live with poison. The question is this. There's an exception. It says like this. A Torah scholar, any Torah scholar who does not take vengeance and does not bear a grudge like a snake, says the Gemara, I'm not making this up, it says in Gemara, you can read it. It says in the, where does it say it? It's Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said that if you don't bear a grudge like a snake, you are not a Torah scholar. A Torah scholar is to bear a grudge and take vengeance like a snake. How does that make sense? So it's a very ugly thing to have this feeling of want to get back at something. It's a very ugly feeling to be upset in a way that you want to hurt another person. It's like feeling jealous or feeling vengeful is sort of like drinking poison, and you're drinking the poison, waiting the other person is going to die because you're drinking the poison. That's what vengeance is like. You're drinking poison, and you want the other guy to die because you're drinking the poison. It's not when you're taking vengeance. You know what you're doing. You're living with the other person. You're living with them. They have such space in your mind, such space. You're living with them. The best thing to do, the best kind of vengeance, the best way to get back at the other person, is to go on with your life as if nothing happened. That the person doesn't take up so much space in you. But the Rabbi says even better. Even better kind of vengeance. Even better kind of vengeance is that you act in a way that the other person can learn from you how to act in a better way. That they see from you that that their actions to you don't affect your relationship to them, and they can learn from you how to act in a kind way. That you're able to transform the other person who's acting in this low way, and you're able to bring them to feel and to act in a positive way. That's the greatest kind of vengeance. So the question though is, how do you reach that level? How do you reach that level where you're not being vengeful, you're not bearing a grudge, you're not being angry? Just say l'chaim is the big stuff, right? You want to get some more wine in the back? Yes, l'chaim, l'chaim. How do we do this? So the answer is this. The first answer is this. There's a couple of layers here. Number one is, it says in Sefer HaChinuch, in the book of education. So very interesting, this book. It's written by a certain tzaddik of Aaron, who wrote this book in order to explain the Torah to his daughters. He wanted his daughters on Shabbat afternoon to do something, to be busy with Torah. So he explained to them the reasons for the mitzvot, and he wrote a whole book. It's one of the earliest books in the Torah, the Rishonim, and he explains the reason for this mitzvah. Why shouldn't you bear a grudge? He says, because everything that happens is not because of the other person. Whatever happens to you is because of Hashem. Or as the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, when you get angry at someone, it means that you lost your emunah. Because if you believe that Hashem did something to you, you won't get angry. Why get angry? You think someone else has a power over you. But the truth is, no human being has a power over you. Even though the other person did something wrong, but can he really hurt you? Do you really believe there's some other force in the universe besides Hashem? Could he possibly have the jurisdiction and the power to inflict pain on you? Even if the guy, he didn't answer. You asked him to do something, and he refused you. He deliberately refused your request. That sting, that pain that you would have anyways. You asked him to do you a favor. He said no. The pain that you feel because the guy disappointed you, that pain you would have anyways. That pain wasn't because of him. When he does, it's easy. A guy doesn't want to lend you a Maserati or whatever. How often do you get to drive a Maserati? Okay, not everybody here. So many people have Maseratis here. I've got to watch out someone. Anyways, but Lamborghini. So but you couldn't get by without driving the car. But someone hurts your feelings. How do you deal with that? So Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, you should know it would happen to you anyways. 1 second, does this guy hurt me? Doesn't he have to go to court? Doesn't he have to pay me in court if he hurt me? Yes, he does. But that's only because, says the Alter Rebbe, Harbe shluchim lamakim. God has many messengers. He chose to be a bad messenger. Therefore, he has a cheshbon. He has to make some kind of rectification for his mistake. But you, from your perspective, he can't hurt you. He could shoot the gun, but if the gun's going to hit me, chas Hashem, that's nothing to do with him. It's to do with Hashem. He's only an agent of Hashem. If something happens to me, it's from Hashem. So the first thing that you have to realize is whatever happens to us is not because of another person. No person has that power over you. It's number one. Number two is this. It says that a Talmud Chacham, a Torah scholar, has to be vengeful like a snake. What does that mean? As in the Gemara, snakes are different than other creatures. Other creatures, when they kill their prey, they eat their prey. Snakes kill, they don't eat. Snakes, everything they eat is like dust. They have no pleasure from whatever they eat. So too, it's true that you have to, when someone hurts your feelings, you can't keep it inside. The Rambam says, lo yishtok. You cannot keep inside your feelings. Like it says in the Torah, v'yidiber Rav Shalom la'amnon kisonei mitei vadro kisonei Avshalom v'samnon. Why didn't Avshalom speak to Amnon? He didn't tell him anything, not good, not bad. He hated him so much he couldn't say anything to him. It's not okay not to share. When you're upset at someone, you have to share. You have to tell them, listen, not because you need something from him, but because you care about the other person. They're going through something that they acted that way, and therefore you want to tell them, I want you to know that what you did, it hurt my feelings, and it bothered me. You have to be very careful because you don't want to cause more of the same. Let me say it this way. The previous Rebbe was getting an injection in his foot. And before he got the injection, the doctors cleaned his foot with alcohol and cotton. And the previous Rebbe was always conscious of the words of Baal Shem Tov, whatever you see, whatever you hear is a message from Hashem. And what was he asked the doctors, why cleaning my foot? My foot is clean already. Why are you cleaning it? So they said that when a person has a injection, so there may be some microscopic things that could get into the bloodstream, and because it's such a sensitive part of your body inside of you, therefore we want to make sure that nothing gets inside. it has to be not just clean to the eye, it has to be clean even that no microscopic particles should also go inside. So the previous Rebbe learned from this the following teaching. He wrote this in a letter. He said, when you have to sting somebody, sometimes a person has to get stung. Someone needs to they need put in their place. But you can't do it because you enjoy it. You can't sting someone because last night someone after Mincha wanted to do a Heicha Kedusha. He wanted to repeat the Shemona Esrei out loud because he wanted to do Kedusha himself. So it's not exactly the shul policy. Other shuls allow it. The shul doesn't. And some people were very can't do that. It's not okay, right? And they were right. They were right because that isn't the shul policy. And there were other things that we were saying Tilim Pertzah Shul. They had a class in the Rambam. The question is, but the fact is, the guy is embarrassed in public. The guy's embarrassed in public, and so it's a real painful thing. And even if it's correct, does it bother you that the guy got embarrassed? If you're saying the right thing. Rabbi Heller, the head of the Kol I studied in, he used to say the following thing. See, sometimes a father could tell a child the right thing. He tells the child the right thing, but it's wrong tone. The wrong tone can kill the child. That's a shame. The wrong tone. Similar way, if you feel the other person, then you're careful not to say it in the wrong way. So it may be that you have to share with someone how they hurt you, but it can't be because of a sting, because you want to put them down, you want to show you're better. It can be a vengeful thing. You have to feel that whatever has happened to you is from Hashem, and therefore not be interested in taking vengeance. We're not interested in stinging them. So bottom line, let me say three things. Three things about forgiveness. Besides the inyan v'emunah, besides the fact you have to believe whatever happens to you comes from Hashem, there's three other factors to forgiveness. Factor number one is this. None of us are perfect. You said the wrong thing to somebody in your life, it happened, you're not perfect, you have a baggage, you made mistakes, you know you're not perfect, so just like you know you're not perfect, you make mistakes, the other person also stepped on your toes and he said the wrong thing to you, he also has baggage, he also is carrying garbage, he also has a lot of garbage, frustration and anger he's carrying. So just like you want yourself, that people should say, I understand him, you had a hard day. So to some other person, when he steps on your toes, you should realize this other guy also, he's not perfect either. That's number one. Realize the other guy's not perfect. Number two is this. There are two kinds of perspectives. There's a rich perspective and there's a poor perspective. The poor perspective is I need. The rich perspective is I have. A Jew has to feel rich. As the Torah says, who is rich? He was happy with what he has. Some people always feel poor. No matter what they have, they always feel poor. They feel needy, they feel empty, they feel dark, they feel sad, they feel lonely, they feel they need. When you're in that mode, you have a tiny bit of self-confidence, another person's insult destroys you. How can you forgive them? But if you feel rich, what does it mean you feel rich? You feel that you're a child of Hashem. You feel that you're the only one who has a mission from Hashem that He gave you to do and nobody else. And you are on your unique path, and He's watching you, and He's with you, and He's guiding you, and He's looking at you. If you feel that way, another person steps on your toes, you don't feel so diminished and so crushed. Why? Because you feel yourself that you feel the real value of who you are. So when another person puts you down, can't put you down. And therefore, not only that, the feeling of forgiveness, the ability to forgive, far surpasses the ability to take vengeance. When you take vengeance, I don't think there's any very good check if you want. The feeling of vengeance is basically you're putting yourself together with the other person, he's affecting you, you're living with him. The feeling of forgiveness is you feel your soul when you forgive. When you forgive someone, you feel your soul, you feel your ability to give, you feel your ability that you're able to give the other person. You don't feel needy, you feel I can give. And so this is the real perspective that Hashem wants us to cultivate in order to be able to not bear a grudge, not to have this poison that we're walking with. Number three, so the first point again is look at yourself. Realize you have deficiencies. So another person makes a mistake. Realize they're also human. Number two, you have to cultivate the real perspective that you're rich, that you're a child of Hashem. You have a mission, and therefore He can't give it to you. He can't take it away, and therefore you don't feel so nebach, so put down because of other person's words. Number three, your quality of life significantly descends when you live with vengeance. When you live with vengeance. When you live with, instead of grape juice, want to give your brother some vodka? I don't know. You're asking a hard, complicated question. You can take it out for a second. Basically, anyways, the bottom line is To believe in Hashem, whatever happens to each of us is from Hashem's hand. Number two, no one. Number two is you're not perfect. There's 4 points really. The first point is believe in Hashem. Anything that happens to you is from Hashem's hand. The second point is that you're not perfect. The other guy's not perfect either, and have Rahmanas on him. Realize he's not perfect. It's not. His shoes and his blood is the same as yours. You're also not perfect. Number three, you have to cultivate in yourself a feeling of wealth, that you are a child of Hashem, and you have so much that Hashem has given you. And therefore, that person saying that's shouldn't matter to you. A dog barks you in the street. You get angry. A dog barks you in the street. Doesn't matter to you. Number four, most important, when you forgive someone, your quality of life rises. Your happiness rises. If you don't forgive, it affects the way you deal with your spouse, affects the way you deal with your children. It's everything going on in your life. You know, to let go and forgive, it puts you it lets you feel your neshama, feel soul, and you're living a life of neshama. Anyways, Eish help us all be able to let go and forgive and live with neshama and have a real iyar ni Hashem rifecha, and we should see the refuah shleima kreva of all Am Yisrael, Kol Chayil Yisrael, and the nitzachon gomer, the absolute victory of Eretz Yisrael, the coming Mashiach now. Chaim. Any questions, comments, criticism?
We talk about Gibura Shabbat.
Not specifically.
Something you said is similar to that. If you care about someone that you're doing something good for him, then you care how you say it. Is that an example for Gibura Shabbat?
As I think about it, I don't know. It sounds. Huh? Yes, sir, Beryl.
We're supposed to hate Amalek. We're supposed to take revenge on Amalek. And we're supposed to be really mad, and we're supposed to get worked up and really angry at him. We're gonna go kill him and wipe them all out. So how do you explain it? What's over there? That's what God says you should forgive him.
Like a Talmud Chacham, you say, a Talmud Chacham should also be full of them. Like a Talmud Chacham.
Yeah, you gotta be like a skunk. No.